Pierre, welcome to your second one-on-one with Comedy Hype.
Hey, let's do it.
Man,
All right, Jay.
it's been 2 years since the last time you sat down with us, and a lot has changed.
Yes, it has.
A lot has been going on.
Thanks to you.
Well, I don't want to say thanks to me, but it's been a collaborative effort.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Of sorts. And I definitely will say, you have come on our platform and definitely shake things up. And I want to talk about kind of like this newfound voice that you're finding yourself becoming.
All right.
But first and foremost, how has the process been just kind of being a part of the show of Comedy Hype new show?
Really great. I would say I didn't realize how people felt about me, good and bad. Yes, on the streets, I'd see people walk up to me, yo, you one of my favorite comedians, where you been at, what you been up to? I got that love. But that's because they're right there in my face, they're saying that. People walking past me might not feel the same way about me. And when you're on Comedy Hype News, and I'm very opinionated, and a lot of people didn't realize that. They see me from the movie, so I was just a character in a movie. But my friends know how I roll. I stand up for what I believe in, and I think I speak logically, and some people don't feel that way. But
right.
And I've heard it in the comments.
Yeah, and your saying is put it in the comments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think a lot of times what we're seeing in the comments is that people kind of refer to you like someone that's coonish, sellout. Mm-hmm. They say like strong words like that. Mm-hmm. How do you respond to that, and why do you think people are kind of labeling you those type of things?
Because I'm actually the opposite of, I'm not a get along person. I don't just get along with what y'all saying. If I have something to say and I believe in it, I'm gonna stand in it. My friends who know me know how I rock. But to say those things, and I'm being honest with you, dead ass honest, they don't bother me because I know who I am, and my friends, the people who know who I am, and there's so few compared to the ones who like me. But sometimes you got to go through that. Even somebody, I'm not Muhammad Ali, but when Muhammad Ali called himself the greatest, or he was fighting for stuff, there were people who hated him, and he just stood in his ground, what he believed in. Mm-hmm. Now, most of us black people believed in what he said, but there were people who didn't believe what he said and disliked what he said, and he stood in his ground, and a lot of greats have done that, and I consider myself a potential great because I will stand in the lane that I believe in. I must keep my feet there. If you don't like it, that's fine. Speak your mind. Go, put it in the comments. So I think that's what it is. And I think the way I say it, I don't come this is what I believe in. I'm strong. I'm about my words. I will argue with someone else, or let's say debate with somebody else. And people don't like that. People don't like somebody who's going to debate. They want you to get along and say, or if you have an opinion, be like, yeah, well, I believe it's a little different than what y'all saying. That ain't how I roll. So.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get comfortable like that? Was that a process to know that it was okay for you to be as opinionated, as honest as you can? Was that like a process?
No, because I've been like that most of my life. There's probably times I overstep a boundary. I won't lie to that. But most people who know me respect me. I get a lot of respect. You'll see people come out and say, yo, I respect Pete. I mess with comedians or whoever I've dealt with, they respect me. It's just the people haven't seen that. So I've been like that all my life, I've never really been a get along. I'm a force to be reckoned with. I produce my own movies. I don't have a manager. I don't have an agent. By my choice, I have to make my own negotiation. I have to stay strong in what I believe in. If I believe I should get paid this or I should get treated this way, I stand up for myself like that. Some people have managers and agents that go along with whatever they say. I don't do that, and I stand up for what I believe in, and it comes off on that show. And sometimes people feel I'm arrogant. I'm too much in charge, too much of a man. It ain't,
In terms of with you being someone who has like a white mother, mm-hmm. do you think that's why people kind of just easily kind of write you off as a sellout person?
Sure.
Because you are biracial?
Well, sure, it's an easy hanging fruit to pull. But remember, my mother married a black man. She was tough enough to go through that during that time, during the 60s. It wasn't easy. You can sit there and be like, hey, no, man, white women. No, it was not. During them times, it was not an easy time. And so I come from a mother who's even strong enough to stand up for what she believes in. She didn't go along and say, well, let me marry somebody look like me or come from my same background. She went the opposite way. So, and my father was a strong man. He had to deal with he was in the military at the time, and that was frowned upon, man, back in the 60s and early 70s to be married to someone outside of their race. And my father showed me at a young age, no, son, you stand up for what you believe in. You be tough about it. So you can sit there. That's actually a tougher person, it ain't get along when you see, and I'm not down in black and black or white on white, Mexican on Mexican. That's the easier route to go. you go interracial around people, that's a tough way to go. So you can call somebody a sellout or easygoing, but that's a lot tougher than marrying somebody who looks like you, came from the same background you did. That's the easy route.
How did your dad teach you? Did your dad ever teach you? Because when did you lose? You lost your dad last year?
Yeah, last year.
Did he ever instill certain things on you to make sure that you were comfortable in your own skin?
No, it wasn't about my complexion. It was about me being a man. As I told people, he's a military guy. He used to wake me up every morning, even days I was off at 7 a.m., say I had a job and I still was at home or whatever the case may be, and he had to leave on a Saturday morning. He said, no, boy, you're going to get up at 7 o'clock. Every man gets up when I get up. Now, when he left out the house, I went back to bed, but he instilled in me, you get up, you're a man. You go out there, you shovel that snow. I had a paper route at a very young age. He taught me how to be a man. It wasn't about complexion at all. He didn't, that wasn't a thing about being light-skinned, dark-skinned, white mother, none of that. It was about being a man and standing up for what you believe in and doing what you say you're going to do. Be a man of your word.
Yeah. One person that called you out who came up as a topic on our show was ex-NBA player Kwame Brown. Mm-hmm. Your response, or what was your reaction when you saw Kwame kind of like throw out the things that he was telling you?
It didn't bother me, but I had a lot of friends of mine, some of them are friends of his, who know how I'm built and who know how I really get down. And they were like, P, the problem wasn't what you did, you disagree with him. It was a problem of how you came at him about disagreeing with him. And we know that ain't how you rock out. You went to the name calling and you were visceral about it. It wasn't more about, it was, and sometimes you lose what my idea, what my response to his opinion is if I for what I said in the beginning of it. And so my friends were like, P, that ain't you, bro. We don't have a problem with how you feel about it, but you came off, kind of, and we know how you go. You ain't that type of dude that's, you about that opinion and stand up for what you believe in. And so I thought about it, and that's why I even put out an apology to him, to say, hey, man, it wasn't, forget that part of it, but I still feel what you said was inaccurate to what I believe in the way you said it, and the way I felt he phrased what he said. It made it seem negative, and like, my man was a homosexual because he had that on, and I just felt like that wasn't right. And I'm gonna stand up again. I'll stand up to him again and say that again. It doesn't bother me if but the other stuff was unnecessary. So what that was exchanged between me and him was nothing. Now, I would say his fans, it showed me, fans, what do you call it? Fans, minions, whatever you want to call it, his people behind him, how visceral and how negative they are. I would never want my fans to go against someone else the way they came, at me or other people. It just shows me the low-hanging fruit of kind of people. Some of the people, because I ain't gonna have all y'all say, but some of the people came. I was like, wow, that's how you come? They came like I came at him, and that's where they come at everybody, because I've seen and heard about it. I'm like, wow, that's how your people are? Fuck ass nigga, clown ass nigga, bitch ass nigga, whack ass nigga. Like, wow, that's where your energy is. So, but it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me. It just was something he said, and I was like, all right.
So, with you being someone that stands your ground, you say what you're gonna say. Mm-hmm. You ended up apologizing for the Kwame situation to him. Like, did you hesitate to put that apology out?
A little bit. Because from where I'm from, we don't normally apologize. That's not something normally I do. But I'm a changed person throughout the years.
Right.
So this is the first time I had to apologize. I felt that I was maybe wrong for something. And I had a lot of my friends who knew him, who approached me and said, P, man, and who knew me, didn't know him, and said, yo, the way you came at him was the problem. Your opinion wasn't the problem, but when you was visceral towards him, that kind of murked and messed up the opinion that you had of, about him, what he said. And I thought about it, I said, yeah, I don't want to lose that in translation, that y'all kind of close your ears to what I was saying. You were just paying attention to the beginning part of it. And he went off and went off and did what he did, which is okay. I felt good about apologizing. It shows growth. To me, when you apologize or when you accept apologies, it shows growth. And I'm a person who's always trying to grow. Yes, I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. And about the opinion, I'm still mean by what he said. But to come after him off the rip, I just felt like, okay, P, that ain't right. That ain't right. Stay on.
So did Kwame ever respond, or did we hear anything back?
Yeah,
from him?
I didn't hear it. I didn't see it, but I heard he went online and he saw it and he said he ain't accepted my apology. I don't know how he said it, but he said he didn't, and that's fine. That speaks more to him than me, his character. That's fine. And if that's what he felt, that's what he felt. I didn't say it to ask for to receive it the way he wanted to receive it.
Do you understand where he's coming from with his perspective, Kwame?
Yeah, I do understand. I still don't agree.
Yeah.
I think a grown man should be able to do what a grown man does, okay? If he wants to wear a dress, a grown man can wear a dress. Now, I don't wear a dress. My kids wouldn't wear a dress. In my house, you're going to wear what I say, you know. Now, when you're older and you leave out my house, I don't give a damn what you wear. You can wear a tampon, brother, if you want to wear that. I don't give a damn. It's now you're at my house. But during my house, yes, I will say this, that, the other. But we're talking about a grown man. Russell Westbrook is a grown man. And I feel he takes care of a family. He has a company. There's no not being a grown man and a man in that situation. Just because he had on something that was fashionably forward that that Kwame didn't like, and and the way he said it, I told you I didn't like the way he said it with and that's the problem I had, and I still have a problem with that. And I still gonna say a man could wear what he want to.
Right. I think it was not necessarily just about Russell. It seemed the issue to be kind of more about this is something, or it seems to be a trend to push this image of black men. And I think Kwame, if I'm trying to understand his energy, he was more so offended by the gesture, offended that we have another example of someone pushing this image of our black men. And he probably felt attacked because it could be a tactic used to to effeminize us. So I think that's what he was speaking to.
So Kwame feels bad for him being attacked by what he said.
As a black man,
right? To
see another black man,
right? I get that.
The image pushed,
right?
It feels like it's an attack on my masculinity,
right?
Because it could be a tactic used to effeminize the image of the black man. So I'm thinking maybe that's where Kwame's passion was coming from, because he felt that it was a tactic meant to, hinder him as a black man in this world.
Well, first of all, he shouldn't worry about what another man's wearing to worry about how he is. Then he should have stopped on the colors pink, lime, all that other female pastel colors, which females wore, earrings in the nose. He should have stopped at that. He should have started back then. There's a lot of stuff he could have started a long time ago. Today is not the day to say, I've had enough. You know what I'm saying? To me, why don't you go way back and start it back then? Then I wonder, does he have the same feeling about guns in movies and pimping women in movies and shooting black men in movies and all that, selling drugs in movies? Is that okay? Does he yelling for that? I don't follow him, so I don't know. But those people who do that, who feel the same way he does, is the feminization of a black man, if you call it feminization of a black man, the worst thing than criminalization of a black man?
I think it's not the only thing, but it seems to be the thing that we value the most.
Why do we value that most?
Because that's the thing that we seem to have an immediate connection to when we grow up in terms of our manhood. That seems to be something that does at times look like it's trying to be stripped away. When we were slaves, that was one thing that they took away, your manhood, by ultimately having people take your name, your identity. I think that's why we feel so connected to the manhood. The guns and stuff, yes, I get that's wrong, but I think the ultimate thing that we probably need in our community is strong strength with our men, and it might be an internal thing, it might be an instinct thing, but
I don't believe that seeing Russell Westbrook in a dress, all of a sudden everybody's going to wear a dress. If you're a man, that's not what you rock with. That's not what you're going to rock with. That's just not, I don't believe it will. I don't believe I'm going to see a man in a dress and say, I'm going to start wearing a dress, especially a dress. And again, what he had, I think it was a kilt of some sort of it, but anything like long like that is what it is. I remember African warriors, if you go back, they had stuff that's like that. They had African, can we show pictures of those guys? What do we call those guys? They were warriors. And I can show you some pictures of that. You know what I'm saying? So where are we going with this?
And I think another thing, it didn't make sense for Russell to do that. Russell, I think he's from, I forgot what part
LA.
of LA. I think he's from the hood.
Okay.
Not to say people can't wear what they want to wear.
That's what you're about to say.
But it is a thing of like, that it felt like it didn't make sense.
Should he have wore what, Timberland boots and baggy pants and pants hanging down his ass? What about that look? Should that be that's okay?
I think Kwame was more so speaking on, and this is a great kind of back and forth. But I think Kwame was speaking on the fact that like Russell's environment, that wasn't him. That's not him. It feels like Russell was trying to maybe fit in maybe this newfound fame in Hollywood, and they do stuff like that. They wear different clothes, and maybe that was Russell trying to fit in with that particular.
So I would rather Russell wear his pants hanging down the bottom of his ass, some Timberland boots and a hoodie, because where he comes from, that's the look. And we'd be like, you know what, good looking, Russell. You know, keep them pants below your ass, your hoodie on and shit, and your Timberland boots unlocked. Yeah, do that, you know, because that's where you come from. No, I believe in growth. If you decide, you know what, because everybody from the hood ain't tough. Trust and believe it. There's some bitch-ass niggas in the hood, and there's some dudes that whoop your ass up in the suburbs. Trust me, there's some killers in the suburbs. I grew up on both sides. So let's not act like you're from the hood, you have to have a certain persona because you're from the hood, and you got to dress a certain way and look a certain way. So I wouldn't go for that. If you decide to change and you around different things, yes. Well, you know, just like we see all these people, young brothers wearing tuxedos or whatever you want to say, you know, more fashionable things that wasn't in the hood that they're wearing now. You know what I'm saying? I see so many people like Puffy kind of brought that in. Everybody wearing tux at parties and all that. In the hood, we wearing tux. We weren't rocking tux like that, no. But maybe in the white areas they were doing that. Well, okay, we didn't cry about that part.
Right. I will kind of respond with saying it does feel like the kilts. You did mention Africa, and I would have loved to research that a bit
pictures,
about like, you know, as far as like what kind of garments and things they wore. But I would love to kind of understand, or I think instinctively our people do feel like when it comes to wearing fashionable choices like that, it does seem to be more of a European perspective.
I agree with that.
Which we're kind of like, it doesn't feel authentic to us. So I feel like Kwame was more so of like, that's not authentic to us. And it seems like he, again, was trying to do something that he thought was fly amongst that community.
Sure.
And I think that was the issue, was more so like, maybe like, yo, brother, like you can be yourself to exist in that space. Like, why are you doing that? Because you know that you can get away with it, or they'll accept it there.
Would we say that with Kanye too? He wears some shit that we don't normally wear in the hood, trust me. Would we say that with Andre 3000? Would we say that with him? He wears some stuff that we wouldn't necessarily wear in the hood. So how far do we go back with them? Let's not just jump Russell Westbrook. Let's talk about some of these. These are beloved rappers, or you know.
Yeah, Prince as well.
Prince, a good example.
Stuff.
Yeah. So,
I mean, to your point, I think it does allow people to wear what they want to wear. I think it was more so Kwame trying to point out something that did feel inauthentic in that moment. Because I don't think we've seen. Because the thing you mentioned just now about Kanye and Andre 3000, right? Those brothers is known to be, you know, eclectic and different, and
so is Russell Westbrook, brother. Every time he came to a game, he wore some stuff. We like, what in the hell he got on now? Colorful stuff, whatever stuff he did. He did. I think Kwame has a narrow mind of thinking of certain type of people he knows of and he grew up with. And forget the other ones around him. He didn't grow up around everybody. Now, he can say he did, but what he's talking is not, you know. I grew up around in D.C. and Maryland, some fly niggas, some niggas wear some Bama, some whack-ass clothes, some fly gold stuff, some European stuff. I grew up around all kind of people. Now, if he's trying to fight for his little type of people he wants to deal with, you know what I'm saying, that he grew up with, a certain amount, okay, I get that. Your people, your friends didn't wear that, but what about the rest of them around you? Well, did you shut off everyone else? If you don't look like me, you don't dress like me, we don't talk. Well, man, I didn't grow up like that. So I didn't grow up around people like that. I grew up around people doing a lot of kind of different stuff. Big chunk goals and stuff. Some people who wore, look like, what's his name? Alfonso Ribeiro, you know, what's his character name again?
Carlton.
Some people wore like Carlton. People who looked like Carlton, went to Catholic school. Some of them do like a hood who wore Louis Vuitton printed jackets and so forth. Some people who wore regular ass clothes. I grew up around all of them. So yeah, if I want to point one group of my friends, my friends ain't rock like that. Well, you better. It shows how narrow your friends were.
So is the sentiment, the clothes don't make the man, hold truth? Without
a doubt, yes, it does. You're absolutely right. The clothes does not make the man. Not one thing makes you. It all adds a little flavor. Some days you might want to wear a European suit. Sometimes I wear a slim suit, European style. Other days I got my Timbs, I got my other regular jeans, I got this jacket here, and you know, I'm not going to wear the same damn thing every time. It depends on how I feel and the mood I'm in. And if you're going to judge me on one outfit and say that's what you are, then you're making a mistake. Because I'm not afraid of you if I see you wearing a hoodie and some Timberland boots and your pants hang down past your ass. I don't think, oh, you a tough guy. No, your character would determine that to me. And if you wear a suit, a nice fitted suit, what a lot of these young brothers wearing, I don't sit to tell you, you was a bitch ass nigga with that tight ass suit on. I don't do that. I'll get to know your character because you might be a killer wearing that outfit.
Yeah. Another person that found himself on our platform was Mr. Rizza Islam.
All right.
Now, I think going into it, we knew that he was gonna kind of definitely come with a very strong opinion.
Sure.
He wasn't gonna hold back. He's a very passionate young man. So going into that, like, eventually, that will kind of spiral in its own kind of back and forth around COVID. But how did you prepare for Rizza to come on the Comedy Hype News show?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really prepare. I knew of him, and I actually liked him. I've seen a lot of his videos, and I agree with a lot of his videos. I dug him, I'll be honest with you, I dug it. I thought he was very interesting. I said what I said. I thought he threw some comedians and the culture of comics under the bus with that one thing that we're court jesters, Right. Maybe name 2 or 3 that wasn't. But all in all, he kind of act like, we're court jesters. We shouldn't be listened to, and we were made to just be, the king's tap dancer. And I'm like, no, bro, that's not how we roll. We don't roll like that. Just because we're saying something that you don't like, agree with, don't lump us up with some old cartoon foolishness. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of brothers who live and die this thing, man. There's a lot of comedians who do this. I'm one of them. I'm very protective of comedians, man. So some comics they get along, go along. If you say something, okay, I get it. If you're bigger than them, they're like, whatever he says. I don't do that. I love comedians. I know the struggle. I've been doing it for 30-some years. I understand the struggle we go through. And you're not going to take comics and just throw us to the side and say, y'all ain't nothing but clowns. No, sir. And so I stood up for them, and many liked it, and many appreciated it. Some guys hid, some comics hid behind, I hear what you're saying, but then they didn't want to say nothing. I get the fear. I fear not. I'm not going to be afraid to speak my mind, and that's what it. And some people don't like that, and Rizza's people didn't like it. I think Rizza respected how I said it, what I said. That's why we had a little changing of dialogue, so on so forth, and we talked afterwards. And I was, was talking about getting him on my platform, and I still may get him on my platform, see how we can work it out. So I have no beef with him. I just didn't like what he said that time.
Right. And specifically, Rizza was commenting on the COVID vaccines and
Chappelle, some people taking shots, telling people to take shots, and
right. And his whole stance is, I guess he's
anti-vaccine.
He's anti, but I more so will word it. I think he said, do your own research.
No, he kind of gave you your research. He gave you what he thought the research should be.
To feel that the vaccine is not validated.
And if you take one, you haven't done enough research. So enough will only be you not taking it.
Right.
That's not right.
Why are you so passionate about the vaccine?
Well, one is I care about people. From my data, I haven't seen the shot kill somebody. Enough people, just want to say they might pick one person, they found somebody, but the shot itself kills somebody. I've seen having COVID kill people and not being vaccinated. And yes, some people have died being vaccinated. So I'm passionate about, society so we don't keep spreading it, so we can stop it, so we can get back to where we were before.
You feel like unvaccinated people are kind of like making this thing prolonged?
Without a doubt, they are. Unvaccinated people are prolonging it, I respect and understand why they say that, but in the big picture, I just think to myself, like, okay, I came up to the conclusion of this. This is what I believe in. Since I've heard the chatter both ways. Let's not mandate no more. That's no more mandating. Everyone, you don't have to take a shot. You don't have to wear a mask. None of that if you don't want to. And we all rock out. We open up everything. Airplanes, boats, clubs, nightclub, mall, everything. We wide open back to where we were in the beginning. Now, if you choose to wear a mask, you can. And if you choose to get a shot, you can. But if you get sick and you are not vaccinated, you can't go to the hospital.
Okay. I'm going to hold you right there. Couple points. So, one is that Europe is actually considering what you just said, which is they want to do a no more mask and vaccine mandate.
Okay.
And they're considering COVID-19 just as the flu, just kind of like it happens. Any thought around that? Is that what you think should happen, or is just like?
Okay, I'm cool with it since we have so much. Yeah. Yeah. Because, the people who aren't taking the vaccine don't trust the government and don't know what's inside the medicine. Well, don't go to these government hospitals for that ventilator, and you don't know by that time they're going to start putting stuff in you to try to save your life, and I think you're going to take it then. And so since you don't trust the government, you don't know what stuff's inside something, just go home and handle it at home. I trust you at home. Listen to Dr. Sabi, which I respect. Suck on a fucking coconut shell if you need to do that. Whatever they tell you at home to do that to get over that vaccine.
Now, how do you respond to people?
Uh-huh.
Because you just stated that you felt unvaccinated people are prolonging this, when research says that people that are vaccinated are still getting it, and to a point you got COVID-19 while vaccinated. Sure. How do you respond?
Okay, I can respond like this. We're getting it. We're not hospitalized. We're not being hospitalized, which is where an influx of people who are getting it. People who are not vaccine are hospitalized more than people who aren't. So we're filling the hospitals up more for those who aren't vaccinated. And it's wearing on the nurses, it's wearing on the hospitals, it's wearing on the whole medical system.
There's no problem with you guys still spreading it, just like unvaccinated people?
But my point, yes. But you know what? If I spread it to you and you're vaccinated, then you won't go to the hospital most likely. There's a lot of, so you can it may be milder symptoms for you. So for those who aren't vaccinated, the symptoms seem to be higher and more dangerous to you and may kill you. And you have to go to the hospital. Now you're in the hospital for 2 or 3 weeks in a ventilator. Nurses are being overwhelmed by that. You don't really care about that at that point. At that point, you're like, save me, please. Save me, please.
Yeah. Another point, which you just mentioned now. So Howard Stern just came out. I don't know, did you catch his quote?
No.
He's fully in line with what you're saying.
Oh, well, all right.
Howard Stern went on to say, if it was up to me, anyone unvaccinated would not be admitted to a hospital. At this point, they have been given plenty of opportunity to get the vaccine.
Right. Well, here's my point. If you're unvaccinated and you get COVID and you get really sick, why do you want to go to the hospital? Why do you want the government in your business? Why do you want to take that medicine that you don't know about? Why would you say that? Why do you want to go in the hospital and get taken care of when you catch it, if you are anti all that?
I think because if you don't, let's say it's not a guarantee that you're going to get it if you're unvaccinated.
Okay, that's fine, right.
So some people rather maybe run that risk of my chances of getting it versus injecting myself with something that is new to the market.
Okay.
So I think that's more so the logical sense that some people have with that stance, is that I kind of think about when the first planes took off. Not everyone was probably jumping on a plane.
Sure.
People were being logical, like, let me see how this goes. Maybe year 5 of planes existing, I'll give it a shot. And I think that's where people are on kind of the fence. This is new, you don't know what's gonna happen, but I know that at least I'll rather take my chances of maybe getting it and beating it, which I had that same experience. I got it and I beat it.
You didn't go to the hospital?
Didn't go to the hospital.
I ain't got no problem with that. I have no problem with that. I understand that. So if you're willing to take that risk, I have no problem with you taking the risk. Take the risk. You may not never get it. I really hope people who are not vaccinated do not get it. I'm not a champion of wanting people to get sick.
But how do you feel about people now losing their jobs and their livelihoods? It's just,
I just said that. No, don't do that. Open it up. No. Don't lose your job. Everybody get work. Just rock and roll with it. But all I'm asking is when you get sick, don't run to that government and don't run to the hospital and want to get the medicine that you don't know what's inside. You don't know what's inside the medicine. You might have said, well, they've been giving it to people. Well, okay, but do you know what's inside of this medicine you're about to get to save you? This new Retrivera, whatever the hell that name is. Do you know what's inside of that they're giving that to you? No, you don't, but you're willing to take that.
Yeah, at that point, because my life is on the line.
Wow. Well, my life is on the line maybe now. With you, I'm hoping with me being vaccinated that it doesn't kill me. I have underlying conditions, diabetes and 1 kidney. I can't afford you keep giving me the disease now from whoever. But I'm hearing more likely, you may catch it, and if you're not vaccinated, and be in a situation where you have to go to the hospital and be sick, and it's the medical field is a huge thing. It's ruining a lot of people. What about all the nurses and doctors are losing their minds behind this? Like you're stressing us out. Yeah. How do we stop? Give me the resolution. If mine is so totally wrong,
I think
what do you want
one
me to
of
do?
the bigger conversations are people that are not for the vaccine is why aren't they not teaching us how to boost our immune system up? It seems to be a conversation of take the vaccine, but they're not telling you, hey, eat this, eat that, boost up your immune system so that if you catch it, you'll be able to really fight against it.
Sure.
And I think that's where the conspiracies kind of fester a bit, where people are feeling like, why are they so aggressive with pushing a vaccine on the people? And now I got to lose my job because I decide not to inject myself with something that I don't know anything about.
We live in a country that's probably one of the fattest countries in the world. We go to McDonald's, we eat all kind of garbage all day long. We say, man, don't eat that. You got preservatives in it. Man, damn that, it tastes good. I likes the way it tastes. Well, it's tearing your insides up. I don't give a damn. So we're not the kind of people who want to listen to people say, man, watch your health, brother. Get your immune system up. I hear you, player. Give me that beer, give me that the donut, them hamburgers. We're not doing that. Don't act like you didn't. Today's the first time you ever heard that you shouldn't eat all that trash you have to help your system, period. Do we now have to tell everybody, be good now, watch what you eat? No, no. We're so a psyche of we're going to get what we want. We're going to do what we want to do. And so that's why we're one of the fattest countries in the world. So don't act like nowadays I can tell you, man, watch what you eat, brother, and watch you won't catch COVID. And people are going to say, you know what? Damn, I'm going to stop eating this junk I got because I don't want to catch COVID. Or if I get COVID, I'm going to be healthier. No, son. That's been around a long time to eat healthy. A long time, especially about the black community. Long time. Look how that Popeye chicken sandwich did.
But you're not concerned when, it's a constant push. At one point, I think
it's a major thing right now. That's why it's a constant push. AIDS medicine ain't pushed constantly. Wearing rubbers ain't pushed constantly because it's over now. It's old. Not saying it don't happen no more. This is new to us. It's messing our economy up right now. So yes, it's going to keep on being pushed when it is happening now. That's why it's being pushed. Don't take it like you're just pushing it for no reason. It's happening now. We're not pushing AIDS no more. Chicken pox no more. That kind of stuff we're not pushing no more because it's not affecting us the same way like it used to.
Yeah. But I do wonder, do you understand people's hesitation just because of the history that we've experienced when it comes to injecting certain things in our bodies?
The history of what history of who we talking about?
You can take about this Tuskegee Airmen.
No. This is totally different. They gathered some black people. They giving a shot to everybody now. Now, had they been giving a shot to everybody back then, it'd be different. It was just about black people. If they were telling just black people get the shot, now cool.
And I guess, and maybe to your point, it does seem that people that are against the vaccine, it's different. It's just not more than just black people. It seems to be across the board. There's black
rich white people.
People that's against it. So I can definitely understand that rhetoric. I think for me as a black person, that's kind of where my hesitation comes, because it is like...
They want to kill black people?
Not that they want to kill us. It's just
Yeah.
It's just that there has been moments, I think, in our history that makes our relationship questionable with the establishment.
But I don't think this is the same thing. If they were only doing it to black people, I wouldn't take the shot. Hell no. Why would black people get it?
At one point, it seemed like they was trying to make us the face of COVID.
Okay.
And trying to hey, black folks, y'all are the ones that's going to get it. Y'all need to get that vaccine.
Well, because black people weren't taking that shot. That's what it was. White folks, rich white people and other people, they were taking the shot.
Yeah.
Asian, they were taking, so they didn't have to push them as much. It's us, we were like, no, sir. So that's where the rhetoric came to say, hey, man, we need y'all to push it. We need y'all to take it.
But this is where it don't make sense for a lot of people that are not taking the vaccine.
Okay.
People with the shot is still getting it and still spreading it.
Right.
It's supposed to be a shot. It's supposed to be a cure.
No, it's not. It's never said. They're gonna find somebody that said. I don't like when people bring up Biden said it or Kamala Harris. They're not doctors. They're just yelling from someone else. I'm not studying them. And when people say, I heard it from here. I heard it from. Well, you heard it from. You ain't in the laboratory either. So don't act like your study is correct study. If you want to say that, well, I know somebody in Africa, in Nairobi, they said this. Were you in Nairobi? Were you in the thing? So no, but I'm like, hey, I'm going to take the chance, especially white folks taking this and rich people taking this. Hey, if they taking it, if I want to be the fool, okay, you want to be a fool. But they're not taking it. They're taking it also. So if I take it, and I don't have the conditions, or most likely won't have the conditions to be in the hospital and sick and overwhelmed, that whole situation too, then why not? And I haven't heard anybody die from the shot. Not anybody, because they're going to find me one person going to find, but the majority of people haven't died from that shot. If people are dropping off
I think the
shot,
thing is the yet part, because you don't know
what but yet don't mean it has happened. You know what I'm saying? It may not, what happened, okay.
But I think that's what that's the logical approach that people are having, where it's like, you are stepping into the unknown by going with this newfound vaccine. You don't know what's going to happen year 2, year 3 from now, how that's going to affect. You don't know.
I know.
I know what's going to happen to me and my body.
I hear you.
Before the vaccine, I know I can get sick. I know my body can fight it. So I think that's where the logical approach is when it comes down to the vaccine.
I like you saying that. I'm gonna be raw with you with this, man. I know a lot of brothers and sisters who don't wear rubbers and condoms and whatever you want to call them. Okay, and they have sex. AIDS is still out here. First time they might wear a rubber, second time, but third time they don't get tested and go have sex without that. So we're going into the unknown of that, and that's okay. That's a deadly thing. We heard about AIDS. But now all of a sudden we're like, man, I gotta watch my health and watch who I am. You're putting yourself in a bad predicament when you go raw dog and you don't know the other person's status. But we do it all the time. But when it comes to that shot, it's like, hold on, don't do me like that. I gotta care about my life now. Really? Okay. Choices we make.
After having Rizza on the platform, Corey Holcomb, who is a colleague, I would guess a friend even of yours.
Yeah, Corey.
He came on his show, and I'll make sure I mention it, the 5150 show, where he went on to pretty much bash our show for, I guess, the conversation we had with Rizza. Now, I've had some back and forth at time with Corey in different ways. Lately, I haven't responded. I kind of, focus on other things.
Sure.
But what was your response seeing Corey come out our platform, come at your show with us based off the Rizza conversation? And just how do you make of Corey as a being in comedy?
Okay, well, I didn't see it. I heard it. I didn't watch his show. I heard it. I've known Corey for years. I got mad respect for Corey. We've had conversations before on the phone with each other. I know who he is. And he has a brand that he has, and he's selling his brand. And I respect it. I get it. It doesn't bother me because when we're face to face, if there was a real problem, it would be resolved or settled, there, and it has it. So I know what it is,
Yeah. You say you didn't hear it?
No.
I like to play it for you.
Oh, okay.
But what I will say, I saw some comedians talking crazy about my brother, Rizza Islam, a man who has lost his YouTube presence already because of the bigots that control this thing. He gives information that can offset what the bigots are pushing your way, the poison they pushing your way. Rizza Islam has lost his YouTube abilities. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying this, I saw some comedians talking crazy. Some comedians talking crazy because Rizza Islam said,
what was that?
they got comedians promoting the poison, and they mainly use comedians for court gestures and comic relief, but they got them using their credibility that they've earned through Hollywood as people who promote the stuff. Like he was saying, y'all really be cracking jokes all the time. This is how Rizza came. Like, they pulled you in for a reason.
I'm sorry,
no, he wasn't on the show with him. He was speaking on what Chris Rock did as Chris Rock promoted, you know what I'm saying, the poison. So, Rizza don't know Chris Rock like that. So the way he speak on Chris Rock was just straight, blunt out and hard. Just like I see people do things that I don't agree with. Like, I don't agree with when I saw my brother Nick Cannon doing something that he said is a character. Like, if that was my man and we was together, I'd be like, man, don't even do that character. Don't even play that off. That ain't, no. But he did it. Did that make me not like Nick Cannon? Hell no. Nick Cannon looked out for me. When Nick Cannon put me on Wild 'N Out, man, that helped my notoriety with all the young people. When I did the Shaq All-Star thing, goddammit, in Dallas, I got paid $6 funky-ass $1,000. And I didn't even care, because when I was there, I knew, I said, when the people see me, I'm gonna make $6 million the next year. You see what I'm saying? I sacrificed for that.
Right.
I'm saying people use their notoriety to sacrifice in certain ways. No excuses being made, but I'm saying my brother Rizza did not, he said it just flat out. like the straight up 100 shit. And when he said that, the homosexuals at Comedy Hype, like they always do, went and got the comedians to go up against Rizza.
I mean,
The homosexuals at Comedy Hype, a nigga who just like us, a motherfucker who got a platform. I don't know why comedians go on Comedy Hype and talk bad about other comedians and people in the game. If you're gonna do it on your own thing. Why do Comedy Hype get y'all to do that?
They're trying to hype themselves up.
Okay. First time I heard, I didn't hear it before. Where do we start? It's a lot.
Where do we start? It's a lot to unpack.
Huh?
It's a lot to unpack.
Right, it is. First of all, $6,000 ain't never funky. I mean, to who I'm talking, who's funky to, it ain't never funky. Okay. Yeah. I respect the dollar. Okay. So to him, he got a lot of money. Corey got a lot of money. So cool. He said the comedians, when the homosexual line was more towards you know, people who run Comedy Hype. He said the comedian and the Comedy Hype was home. So, because I ain't no homosexual. Yeah, I'm gonna point that out.
I'll respond to that. Too.
But again, that's just a low-hanging fruit to something to say. Calls my homosexual in the black community is the diss that's easy to do. So that's that. Now he said that Nick Cannon did some stuff that he didn't approve of, but that's his homie. Well, I know Corey Holcomb. Am I still his homie? I hope I did something. Can I still be your homie after that, after what I spoke of? Because you let your boy Nick Cannon do some stuff that became your homie still. So I think I don't dislike Corey Holcomb. I really don't have a problem. But it's up to him if he wants to dislike me. It is what it is. I know he knows I stand on my 10 toes. So with that being said, he has a right to voice his opinion. Just because I use Comedy Hype or got on Comedy Hype to voice my opinion, I have my own platform, Pierre's Panic Room. I voice my opinion on that too, and I'll voice my opinion on this. Is he telling me that he doesn't go on any other platform and speak up on something? Is he only talk when he gets on his platform, 5150? If someone else invites him on something, if Nick Cannon says, come on my show, or has he ever been on, can we do some research? I don't know. Did he ever been on another platform and spoke up? Well, then you're going on another platform speaking up. No different than me being on Comedy Hype. Speaking up, Comedy Hype News. And I don't have a problem with that. I appreciate the fact it's a bigger audience. I can say that. It's still me talking on that show. I can elect to say something or not say something. So yes, it's me speaking on what I want to speak on that you may bring up, well, Comedy Hype brings up. I can say, no, I don't want to talk about it. I can be easy with it, or I can speak up how I want to. Yeah. Now let's get back to Rizza saying, he was talking about a lot of comics that were court jesters. But people like Chris Rock, he's a court jester. That man stood up and said a lot of racial jokes and stuff. Chappelle, all them boys. That been some heavy stuff he's come out and said about people, about racism and so forth. Was he a court jester back then when he was saying that? Just now when he comes to he's advocating the shot. Now Corey's against the shot. Now anybody who's against the shot is a homosexual, a court jester. Really? Is that what we need to say? That's how he feels. That's how he feels. But,
Yeah, and I think for clarity, we don't tell anyone what to say on the show.
Sure.
We present a topic, and we allow people to put their opinion on what they feel about the matter. It makes sense for comedians to respond to someone who was going viral that kind of smudged a little bit of your craft. Mm-hmm. And I think the notoriety of what comedians are in our society, I think it made sense to hear comedians respond to that rhetoric.
Of course. But he's a friend of Rizza, so he felt a certain way.
Yeah, and I think it is one of those things where he's playing his lane. He needed something to talk about maybe for that day. Okay. And there was a tie-in, and it ended up doing well, becoming a viral moment. Mm-hmm. The homosexuality thing, I don't know where this comes from.
It's low-hanging fruit. Because my gay is the easiest thing to do in the business.
But it's like at a certain point, you lose credibility in my eyes when you're on a platform pushing something that's not true.
I've known you for a couple of years, and there's no indication of that. I mean, I've seen some of the girls, but again, that's the easiest thing to say, and someone can't defend it. He's married. That don't make no difference. He got girlfriends. That don't make no difference. He got kids. That don't make no difference. So it's an easy thing to throw out.
Yeah. I guess I'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Let me say this to you about you. I got mad respect for you, brother. You built something into something, and you employ 14, 15, maybe 20 people. Man, that's boss moves to me, man. That's
sure.
boss moves. That's why you need to be applauded for. That you need to be applauded for. Now, everybody might not like every time, whatever subject you get to. Everybody don't like everything.
Right.
Everyone don't like Spike Lee's movies.
Right.
So I applaud you, brother. That's why I'm down for this, because you're doing something that's not just hiring 4 or 5 people. You have a whole system here moving. And that I got to applaud you for. So if you're homosexual, good. You're doing
I'm
stuff
not.
for it. I know you're not, but you know what I'm saying.
You ain't got to imply that.
But you know what I'm saying? When people say that. I'm not saying you are.
And there's nothing wrong with people how they choose to live their life, but just for the record, that's
Sure.
not mine. I do think that, I'm glad and I appreciate that and I receive that because that is the mission. Mm-hmm. Do you think Comedy Hype's mission gets misinterpreted?
Sure. Comics are very sensitive, man. They're very sensitive. If you put out a topic that don't rock with them the right way, you know what I'm saying? I mean, but if you said something positive about somebody, if you said Corey Holcomb was the funniest comedian of all time right now, and #1 comic too, he might not felt the same way. He may not. Or another comic. If comics hear any little thing they don't like, it's on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's on.
Yeah. And it's just, it's an interesting one. I think with you running your own platform now can empathize a little bit about, man, you really are trying to do a service. Mm-hmm. You want to give out great interviews. You want to help push people's careers. So sometimes even for our platform, I see how great are the things that we're doing.
Sure.
I see the impact that we're making. I'm looking at people get more visibility. I'm looking at the young talent that we have coming up that do our story reports. And I'm like, in my head, I thought this is what we wanted as people.
Right, sure.
We keep screaming that we want Black-owned business. We keep screaming that we want more opportunities. Mm-hmm. And then someone's doing that, and then we shoot it down or we kind of turn the other way. So that's kind of my perspective on it, that at times I charge it to the game because that just comes with the territory. But I do sometimes question, are people really thinking about in totality what our platform represents?
Right, sure.
Sure.
That's great. But like I said, I know comics, man. They're very emotional. They can be on your side one second and off the other side, so quickly, man. Some of those comics that, may say crazy stuff to you, tell me you want to do a one-on-one or sit down with them, some of them, they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Someone will do that. It's what do you call it? It's very fragile, the ego of a comedian, believe it or not.
Is it because you use your feelings and your emotions, how I process it, to create? You have to feel to be able to speak on some of the things you do. Is like, for understanding, is that where it's coming from? Are they just being emotional as creatives?
No, I just think that some things you do they don't like, and some things that you do, and they don't give you credit for things that they do like. Negative is going to rise higher than the positive all the time. Corey can't tell me that everything you do on Comedy Hype is terrible. I don't give a damn. You can't. Now there's a couple things you may not like, but everything you do, and I'm not here to kiss your ass. I'm being I'm one of the realest cats on you. I mean, you have conversations about I don't like something, I'll tell you about it.
For sure.
But you can't tell me everything you do is terrible. It's not. There's no way if and
I'm very proud of some of the stuff that we've done. Like very, very, very proud.
Has been pro-black. Have been pro-comics, but pro-everything. But if you bring a subject up sometimes that they don't like, it's going to happen like that, man.
Yeah.
You just got to know how to live with it. I hear stuff in the comments sometimes. F you, brother, right. I'm gonna keep on moving, bro. You ain't gonna stop this train.
Right.
By your comment, it's not. It's just not gonna happen. And now, because I don't. Sometimes they're like, well, I feel what Pierre's saying today. Usually I don't. I feel, okay, well, today you feel me. Tomorrow you might not feel me.
It's up and down like the stock market.
It is what it is, brother.
Facts.
Until the Lord take me out of here, or you take me out of here, out of this platform, I'm here.
For sure. Now, moving on, talking about one platform to another, you launched Pierre's Panic Room.
Yeah.
That's been a lot of fun creating that.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
A lot of work, too, yeah.
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 Just talk about, like, how's that been thus far?
It was strange. Part of the deal I was working with you here, as you know, was that I would get to use the facility to do my own podcasting. You have a podcast room in the back, and so I started it off there, and it was fun. We did topics and stuff like that. And I think for a year you saw me come. You were here. You see me come in and out of the place, and then one day you said, "Hey, man, I want to help you take it to another level." And that's when we decided to take it into the big room. Mm-hmm. And you helped me put it together, and you funded some of the stuff for me, and I appreciate it. And then it started to move. Mm-hmm. For the first year, I don't know why it didn't really move the way it needed. I don't know what the magic was. You got behind it, and it started to move. You know, maybe like I said, whatever your touch was helped the numbers move. And in 4 months, I gained 40,000 followers. That's 10,000 a month. That was ridiculous. I was like, holy shit, this is crazy how it moves. So from that point, but first I was having just fun with it, a lot of fun with it, you know, I had a good time. But then I realized the business it became. Because then, you learn how to make it to a business, and it turned into a different thing. And then, it's my baby. So I take it really seriously,
Yeah.
And sometimes, that's why people sometimes want, I got a lot of friends who say they'll do it Zoom-wise. I want to Zoom, I'll Zoom. But everyone Zooms nowadays. And I just want to make it feel special to come into my room and come sit down. Because I felt like I'm not the greatest interviewer. I'm never going to tell you that. That's not what I came to do. I'm a stand-up comic, I don't interview people. I've done interviews, but I've never been the interviewer. And so many people kept asking me, yo, you need to do a podcast. Those who knew me, like, man, you're so opinionated, you're smart, you're clever, you need to do a podcast. For years. I wish I would have started a long time ago. But for the last 4 years, people kept saying, you need a podcast. That's what made me really start one. I said, all right, let me try this. And when I was in the other room, I didn't have fun with it. But then something clicked when you said, come on, P. Basically, let's make this to a business. Let's make this really happen. Let's make this pop. And we turn into another situation. And I fight for my show. You see, I do so much before that show. What y'all see and sit down and watch and say, hey, I like it, I don't like it. There's a lot of machinery going around it. Even to get the people to come in during COVID to come and sit down and talk to me is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the love I'm receiving and the respect of people seeing it and enjoying it. For those who don't like it, that's fine. I get the game. I understand it. But it's been a great addition to my life, man. Comedy Hype News has helped me. And then my podcast, I just think the sky's the limit, man. I may go to LA and start doing it in LA. I have too many relationships, too many friendships, and I think, the way I do my podcast is a little different. At least people say it's different. With my sarcasm, my comedy, my fun, whatever, and the listen and cleverness. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. What I think you've been kind of learning as I've seen you go through the process of working on our show, then now doing your own, it seems like you understand that authenticity is a great selling point to any type of production online, particularly.
Okay.
You chose to be, it seems like you're growing more and more fearless with your authenticity, keeping it real. There was a moment, I think on the season finale of your second season, where you told a story about Steve Harvey. And you kind of pretty much, it seemed like, I guess he shitted on you a bit, or he kind of played like he kind of, how did the story go? He dismissed you, or?
I was working on his radio show a couple of times. He liked me. He liked what I was doing. He said, "Do I want to open up for him in Birmingham, Alabama?" I said yes. There was a time where he was being clean. Well, he did something about God and was working on me first. He did a special like that with T.D. Jakes or something like that. And I said, okay, I'll do the show, but I wanted to make sure I didn't hit any topic. Like, I didn't want to curse because I thought he maybe changed like that. I didn't want to hit no topical stuff because maybe he thought he was topical. I didn't want to wear a certain suit. I really cared about, because I know how to play my position, and I felt like I didn't want to step on his toes. Thankfully, I was so happy that he asked me to do his thing. So I went, and I was supposed to do 25 minutes. I fizzled out after 13 minutes because that wasn't my normal act of cutting everything out. It didn't make sense. And as I remember walking off, his manager, Rushawn McDonald, walked past me and was like, what the hell you just do? And then we got back, and then he's going to pay me. And I said, man, keep the check, because my bad. He's like, no, I'm going to pay it to you. And I've been on the radio show like every couple of weeks now. And after that, cold turkey, nothing. I emailed them saying I apologize for my boop-de-boop, what I did and stuff. I heard nothing from them. Then I approached him one time this is a year later, 2 years later. I approached him at a restaurant with his wife. And I pulled him to the side and I said, what's up, man? I just wanted clarity. Like, dude, what happened? Was it that was what happened? And he was like, no, we good, man. Come on down anytime. I said, okay. So I went down to the station because I was going to promote something. And, I was sitting outside and he said, he'll get with you in a second. And 15 minutes later, he said, well, he can't get you on. I was like, all right, cool. And a friend of mine worked with their team a year later, and he explained to me, yo, man, they kind of made a joke about you to another comic. Don't be short like Pierre. I was like, wow, that was the problem, really? And I really felt bad about that because I was like, come on, man, Steve. Steve was talking about his ups and downs, his tribulation in comedy. You see him crying about stuff, and I feel for him, and I understand as a comic. And I'm like, this is how you treat me, though? Like, you just kicked me to the curb because I made one mistake. I did too short time. Wow, bro.
What was going on in your career at that time?
Huh?
How was your career at that moment? Was that like the biggest thing happening for you?
Yeah, being on his radio show was at the time. Yeah, my thing is kind of leveled out, you know, on the low. I was still making money, but wasn't making big money. You know, I had to do 3 shows compared to make what I made in 1 show some years ago when I was hotter. You know what I'm saying? So it was just kind of drew me back. Now again, what I will say this, maybe it wasn't him. It might have been some of his team did that. I'm not gonna put it on Steve Harvey, but Steve Harvey is a big entity. But it might have been underneath him. Rushawn McDonald might have done it. Somebody, I don't know, inside might have done it. And Steve might not even been paying attention to it. But the point was, it ended real quickly. And I was like, all right, well, that's how you treat, you know, damn, that's how it goes and shit. And it bothered me to feel that way. And
yeah.
That's how I said
it was more, was it the emotion more hurt out of that?
Yeah, because I knew him. I know Steve for a long time, you know, to kick me to the, I didn't say kick me to the curb, but it ended everything. Working on a radio show and all that. Was it maybe the timing I was about to not work again, but it just felt weird that was. And then I told you, I heard through the grapevine that they brought that up one time, not him, but his crew one time about telling to another comic, don't do no short time you working for me. And I was like, wow, dude, really, Steve? You know, you talking about you changing clothes in the restaurants bathrooms and crying and not working, sleeping in your car and all that. You know what it is coming up. And every little chance could matter. Don't knock a brother down like that. I wouldn't have done it that way. I would have talked to the person, yo, don't do that again, man. I need a solid 25 minutes, bro. Boom, let it be.
How long did you kind of settle in or hold that story before you felt it was time to release? Like, because that's pretty big. Let me give context. You're kind of, you know, you're telling your truth.
Sure.
But it's a truth that can also make someone else not look favorable.
Okay.
Was it a challenge with you coming out with that story on your platform?
That's a good question.
Did
It
you
wasn't
ponder
a
on
challenge.
Did
It
you
wasn't a
think
challenge.
about the
Steve ain't worried about
repercussions?
me. Steve is a rarefied air. Do you think Steve is worrying about this situation? I didn't say it to dog Steve out. I just kept in my truth of what happened. Now, do you tell everybody, if something ain't right, don't speak about it? Well, nigga, really? That's what y'all want from everything? Just tell you the rosy part of stuff? I tell you when I'm starving, when I got turned down on stuff. If I can tell you about that stuff, I can talk about this stuff too. Now, if you so a Steve Harvey lover and like, oh, what you do? Tell him that. Don't tell. Well, that's on you. I'm going to talk about it all. The good, the bad, the ugly, but everything that I did, I feel like talking about. And I did that. And it wasn't a shot at Steve Harvey to say, Steve is wrong for that. Again, as I said, Steve might have been the one. It might have been his crew that did that. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it might have been his crew. I'm telling you what, the moment was happening. Steve was on the show. I got booked. It was, you know, it wasn't another show that Steve Harvey was. It wasn't his crew doing another show somewhere else, and I'm bringing Steve Harvey's name in it. It was a Steve Harvey show that I was asked to. After I wrote a book about it, I wrote a book called My 100 Homies and Phonies of Hollywood, which is on Amazon. You can pick it up. And I wrote a story about him in it, a truthful story about him. It was favorable, and that's how I got on the show. It got to him. He read it. He liked it. He said, come on my show. And that's how our relationship reignited to be on his radio show. And then it went from, you know, after, it was going good and it just went out of nowhere. And I was like, all right.
Was there any regret with telling that story?
No, not 1 ounce. Why should it be a regret? There's no reason it should be a regret.
Well, people kind of, and that's what makes you probably different than the rest. That people do feel like you got to play the game. You got to stay quiet, you know. It's like.
I played the game for years. Remember the time y'all didn't see me for a long time? I was playing the game. I was hush-hush and letting people kick me and push me around and say shit to me and throw me around the corner. And I was like, let me be quiet about it. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. So don't push me around and kick me around, and you won't hear about it. That's what it is.
And in response to Corey's logic, you were able to tell this on your own platform, and it did well. And you're able to do it on this platform, and it's probably going to do well. So you were able to get.
What's
2
well
for 1.
mean? I mean, it's not to be. It's not. I'm not looking for well for this story. You know, I'm not looking to do this to get well. I'm telling my truth because people are gonna dog me in these comments. You know, I get that. That ain't well for me, and people are gonna love me for it. So I'm not doing it to do well. I'm just telling you what it is. What it does, you may need to do well, but if I get 2,000 viewers or 200,000 viewers on this, I said what I said. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not doing, because if that's the case, then I would be trying to sensationalize it and make it. I'm just telling you my truth. Add a little extra spice, bullshit a little bit. I'm not doing that to try to move the numbers or anything. I'm just telling you what it is.
Yeah, that was my response to his logic of thinking that one can only or should only tell it on their platform when you're gonna ultimately be able to be seen by other people and at the same time you benefit your platform. So that was my response to Corey on.
That's smart.
I don't think that logic was accurate.
Okay.
Moving on.
I know John. I know this guy. Go ahead. I love it.
Cat Williams recently called Michael Blackson a coon over his MLK Day joke. Did you catch wind of the joke?
I didn't catch what I caught wind that he said that, but I didn't hear the joke.
Okay, I'll read the tweet to you.
Okay.
And this is what he went on to say. I don't mean to start no sheet, but I heard that Martin Luther King had a white side chick. Is it true? I'm just a bitch ass nigga from a little village, so please let me know. Cat's response on Instagram was coon question. Was that some coon stuff from Michael Blackson to put out there? And what's the difference of being or showing coon-like behavior and just being a comedian telling a joke? Because that was kind of a debate.
Right. It all depends on what you consider a coon. I mean, cooning can be a lot of stuff. Is it a race situation to be a coon? You know, is that what we're running around? Is it about race? You know, black and white, being the white woman and stuff. I think, you know, comics sometimes say inappropriate things, and I think that was inappropriate. Mm-hmm. But you're a comic, so I'm gonna let it flow. You know, you're a comic, and you deal with the backlash. You know, and he had to deal with the black backlash. One being Cat Williams calling him a coon and shit. Mm-hmm. You got to deal with it. Michael Blackson's always been out there with some crazy shit. You know, teases himself, looks at himself crazy. So, is it something out of the ordinary for Cat? I mean, not for Cat, but for Mike to say no. Is it necessarily a coon? It depends on what you want to consider a coon, a coon move. I think it was highly inappropriate. I think, I don't know if it was a coon move, but it was not definitely a good look.
This is
look
what
for the
I'll
brother.
say, right, about Blackson. I think people have an issue with that he's so willing to kind of throw himself, his culture, under the bus.
Culture being Africans?
African, his skin color.
Okay, right.
He used Martin Luther King as kind of like a joke.
Sure.
So it's kind of like, where's your...
How far to go with the culture?
Of righteous, kind of like where's his like righteousness? Like where... Are you just willing to say anything for a laugh?
Sure.
I think that's what the concern is. Are you willing to do anything for a laugh, even if it disrespects yourself? Because there's self-deprecation in comedy. But how far will you go just for a laugh? You're willing to kind of make your African seem a particular stereotype.
Right, sure.
You're willing to get one of our most loved political figures in the black community and throw him under there for a joke.
Yep.
Where's your...
Well, he has none. Come on now, this is Michael Blackson. Michael Blackson's been Michael Blackson for a long time. The eye bugging, the joking about being so black, you know what I'm saying? The dancing and all that. He's done all that. That's him. And a certain sector of our society has accepted that. He's become huge behind that. Is it him or is it people who support him? Who do we look at over here? You know, people who co-pack the comedy clubs. He's on every tour. So there's people who like him and like what he does. So do we ask him not to do it anymore and to do something different? This is who he is. You know what I'm saying? Now, being that this is who you are, you got to take those bullets too when a Cat Williams throws them at you. Brother, you know what it is. You know what you do. He's not oblivious to what he does. He knows what he's doing when he does all those things. Now, does he try to make it as a funny joke? Sure. Does he use the moniker of being a comic and say, I can say what the hell I want and do what I want to? Yes, you can, brother. Michael Blackson, of course you can. But understand there comes with repercussions when you do that. So far, it looks like he's been a Teflon Don because he's done a lot of that kind of stuff for a long time. And we haven't done anything and, you know, pull him to the side and say, bro, enough of all that, or dancing and eye bugging and all that. It's working for him. People say, I love it. It's great. So I don't know if I'm going to blame him or I'm going to blame the people who support that. If I'm going to put the finger on somebody.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because
you know,
I think he, you know, I don't know Michael, but he does seem very intelligent.
He is a good guy.
And he does seem like he probably is a businessman.
He's smart.
So he's going to probably ultimately go with what feeds him.
Sure.
Because if the people say, you know what, we're not rocking with that, and he's not selling out shows the way that he does, then maybe he will ultimately have to change his material. So to a point, it does have to be put on the people. They do have to be held accountable. Is this the stuff that you don't want to see, then you don't ultimately have to be watching it.
Exactly.
There has to be, what I was trying to say earlier was, I wonder as a comedian, is there ever a moral code that one has in the craft? You can say whatever you want, but is there...
Some have it and some don't. Sure. Chappelle has it, certain levels. You know, the Cat Williams. A lot of people have us saying, you know, I ain't gonna go there. Or I will go there against white folks. You know, they call white folks all kind of. I've pushed the envelope on if you come see my stage act about racism and so forth. Yes, you know, it's funny. Some people don't say nigger around white people in a comedy club. Some people use the N-word, you know, and they don't care. It's whatever, you know. Do we judge Michael Blackson on that one joke as in its entirety? I don't know about that. You know, if he feels the wrath of what he just said, he'll back up off of that and won't do that kind of stuff again. You know, with a beloved black figure, he might say, you know what, I crossed the line. Let me back up. I think Michael Blackson is respectable enough to do that. But what he's doing now with self-deprecating humor and doing what he does, he's enjoying himself on stage, doing what he does, and the fans enjoy what he does. Now, if he steps over the line and we need to pull him back, or someone feels they need to say something about it, and it affects him enough to say, hey, you know what, I did go over the line with that. Let me pull back. Let me not go that route. Let him get a chance to grow. But let's be honest, we know what Michael Blackson does.
Yeah.
This ain't new. This ain't like Dave Chappelle said the damn joke.
Yeah. Last two questions. Antonio Brown.
Okay.
What was your reaction to seeing him storm off the field? And are you a sports fan, by the way?
Sure. I love it. Yeah.
Like, have you seen something like that before?
No. Let's be honest. The brother is talented as all outdoors, but he has mental issues.
That's your conclusion?
Without a doubt, he has mental issues. Too many things he's done that, you know, aligns with mental issue problems. And just because you're rich and famous and talented don't mean you can't have mental issues. And if you become a distraction to a team constantly, then what's up with that, man? And maybe he needs, you know, we should get him help. But people are afraid to give him help now because he's a young man in his prime of sports and stuff. They don't want him to lose out in sports, and they keep wanting to use, you know, have him over and over again. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, and I had a question on my podcast about that. I forgot who I talked to about that. What is more important? Oh, I had a mental health person. You know, the game or the person's health, you know, mental health. Because a lot of sports figures are now getting out of sports, you know, during the season, stopping, doing what they're doing. They got to get their mind together. Well, you have a whole team that's needing you. And you can say, well, damn them, what about me? Well, okay, I respect that too, but we did pay you to be on this team to do this. Can we get maybe owners to have a mental health, you know, program for these players to go through?
You're thinking, so what I've heard that perspective before about Antonio.
Okay.
But I've also heard the concern of us labeling black men in particular, saying that they have mental issues.
I don't agree with that because Simone Biles went out on her thing. Naomi Osaka, I think the tennis player, the Asian, black and Asian one. So females have done that too.
Just for clarity, you're saying like mental issues, not that he's crazy?
No, right. What is crazy? What is crazy? You know, crazy mental issues, like, you know, it's just like a negative name for mental issues, I think. I think it's still the same.
I think it's just more like what I was more so referring to is that some people feel like we have to be mindful about doing that. Because remember when Chappelle went to Africa, it becomes dismissive from the person's, like, it dismisses the person. Kanye as well.
Right, but he left to go to Africa. He didn't act up in the middle of the street or on a show.
They were calling him crazy.
Well, that's what they were calling him. But the only thing they were calling him crazy because he took himself away from the situation. He didn't act a certain way inside of that. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't jumping on the field or doing stuff crazy on the field. So if you take yourself away to get mental health, we shouldn't label. I would never label them like crazy. Again, people are gonna say what they say. I can't control what people are gonna call.
Do you think
somebody.
that black men in sports are villainized?
Sure. I mean, they're everything that white men are afraid and white people are afraid of. Built, some of them dark skinned, you know, tall. You know, everything you don't want to see in the alley is, you know, well, a white man don't want to see in the alley, you know, a white woman don't see in the alley is what a sports figure looks like. So of course, so anytime they have a crack in the armor that they can jump on it and vilify them, of course, you know what I'm saying? Because white dudes do the same shit. White players are crazy and, well, mentally off. They beat their wives, their girlfriends, you know what I'm saying? They've choked women out and stuff like that, or whatever the case may be, yelled out on fields, got in arguments, fought in the back in the locker room. They've done the same thing. But it's easier to say a black man did that, you know.
Right.
And because I think maybe so many black men are superstars in sports opposed to white men. Superstars.
Right.
And so it's easy to bring that superstar down when you only have 3 white superstars, you got 25 black superstars. You know what I'm saying? Don't go all in the comments. I know a lot more white people are superstars. Get out of here with that. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's easier, and white people want to protect their superstars a little more. You feel what I'm saying? If they do something, they're going to keep it quiet. But if a black person does it, like you said, they vilify them, and it's quicker. We're easier to get on social media and act the fool, act the ass, and act,
Well, who's watching us
boom.
in sports? Like, who's our allies in sports?
What do you mean allies? Who's our friends in sport, watching sport?
As far as like black folks, right? Sports is owned by damn near all the sports owners are white.
Right.
So who controls that, right? Is it the sport? Is it the team owners and the different like commission? I don't know how this stuff
Controls what gets out.
What decisions are made and who kind of gets fined.
Right.
How does that? The white infrastructure seems to be empowered in
They
sports.
are, sure.
So I was saying, who's our ally? If I'm a black man, who's really got my back compared to if a white man's in trouble? The people in control will empathize more with him because they see themselves.
Well, I heard a lot of black people, a lot of black men run like I don't know what it's called, but like in sports, how you have like the players' unions and so forth. A lot of those people who run those are black men, you know, in basketball and in football. So maybe those guys can help put on the thing, you know, unless they are, as Cat Williams saying, cooning over there and don't give a damn. And if not, and if that's the case, and if you're a ball player, you know you have no allies in the organization, then brother, you might want to tread a little lightly in your public life. Because you know if you do something wrong, what's going to happen?
Yeah. I want to bring up the COVID conversation one more time.
Of course you do.
Eddie Griffin is the one person that speaks out about
Sure.
it. He recently went viral after a post that he made on his Instagram. The post showed a picture of an arm getting a number of booster shots.
I saw that picture before. Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. In his caption, Eddie Griffin went on to write, "This is what y'all future is looking like, 30 boosters later." Because at that time, the news was suggesting to get another round of booster shots. And it's kind of like, when does it end? What's your thoughts about people that's like, yo, your whole arm is going to be full of shots?
No, it's going to come to a point where you decide, I have enough of these shots. And, if the numbers are going down, they're going to stop. They're going to like, you know what? I wouldn't get 30 booster shots. I'm not going to get 30 unless I see it still raging.
What
Everybody's
number
falling
you
out.
Stop at?
Huh?
What number will you stop
I
at?
damn near ain't got one now. The next one now. The first one I ain't got. So we might be stopping at this one. But if I need to get one, I'll get one. So he's going to the perspective of 30 shots. I don't believe people are going to get 30 shots. And if you want to get 30 shots, you get 30 shots. But I think after a while, things start dying down and you don't see the numbers and people aren't dying the same way. Again, like I just said, let's not mandate none of it. Let's open it up. Let's open it up. But if it's opened up, are you willing to take that chance of saying, if I get sick, I'm not admitted to a hospital, I can't get no medicine, you know what I'm saying? And are you willing to rock out like that? If you are, then let's go together on this train.
So it seems you kind of, I don't want to say agree with Eddie, but it does seem like you get the concern.
I get it. Of course I do. Please understand, I get the concern. Just because I have my opinion like I have it don't mean I don't get the concern. I'm giving you let's not take shots. I'm not saying you better take shots. You better get a shot. I'm not saying that.
But if the government's suggesting, hey, we need you to take another boosters, this is the same people that told you to take the vaccine in the first place.
Sure.
Now they're suggesting get these boosters. You should keep listening to them, no? Because that's who you decided to trust.
No. I didn't in the beginning. I'm allowed to say no at a certain point. I'm allowed to say I'm good. If you want to be good in the beginning and not take one at all, that's fine too. I just told you, don't take a shot. I want you to agree with me saying, okay, I won't take a shot. And I won't go to the hospital and get that medicine they're giving me or whatever, ventilator. I'm not going to use the government then. I don't need you to tell me that. If you get sick and you can't breathe hardly, are you going to rock out like that for me? Just do that for me, man. Or you're going to run to the government and you're going to run for their medicine. You're going to run for all the stuff they have in it,
Does the government and the hospital, are those the same things?
Well, yeah, a lot of it's run that way, yes. They get money from that. A lot of medical fields get a situation like that.
Because
Go
I think
to a
right
private
now,
doctor
to get the vaccine deals with more so of science. And science tends to be booked or backed by the government.
I used to be a person who wanted to push the vaccine, hoping people get it to get better and not spread it like that until enough people said, you know what? I thought about it, all right, let you do that. But you can't have it both ways, man. You can, you do what you want to, but I'm saying I'd have more respect, mad respect, if you start sucking on wood chips and all that, whatever you do in the house, and ferment leaves and all that, what you believe in, your own way. You say your immune system boosts that up. Yeah, that's fine. But I know a lot of people ain't gonna boost their immune system. Come on, man. Look at your friends, your family. Look at it. Are they working on their immune system? Are they weights right now? Look at your family right now.
But it's a thing. I think that's where.
That's too far down a rabbit hole now.
That's where the concern is. It's like, do they really? Michael Jackson got a song. They don't give a fuck about us.
Who is they and who is us?
They is the establishment.
Okay, who is us?
Us is me and you.
Just black people or anybody? Because they asking everybody. People. Okay.
People. I don't know if it's so much as just a color thing like we touched on earlier, but like, do they really give a fuck about us?
But let me ask you a question. Then why would they even come on the booster? If they really wanted to kill us all, let's say whoever
I don't think
they
want to kill us all, but it's like, I think we're at a point where, do we really think they give a F about us?
But why would they come up with the booster? I mean, with the vaccine, period. Why don't they just say no vaccine? We don't no need to work on it. People can just die off, and whoever can live can live. That would I be saying, okay. Then I would think they wouldn't give a fuck about us.
There's probably some money involved.
Okay, but who's going to survive? Who's the last person going to live? If no one gets a vaccine, nobody makes a vaccine up. Nobody, the rich people and all that. If they catch it, they die. Or if they don't catch it, then how do they live? How do they live with nobody else but just them? They got to wash their own car, cook their own food, do their own work. You really think the establishment want that? They really want that?
Right.
I mean, to be rich and say, I got all the money in the world, I got all the power, but no one's left over? Really? What sense does that make? What sense does that really, really make? And remember, the rich are taking the shot and the poor are taking the shot. Or who want to take the shot. No, this don't smell the same way. To me, it doesn't. It just doesn't smell the same way.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, Pierre, I'm gonna hold this. I appreciate your conversation as always, and thank you for stopping by.
Man, I appreciate you having me, man, and I appreciate the folks who watch it and support, man, and one thing I am is I'm gonna stand in my truth. My truth. Doesn't have to be everyone else's truth. But I appreciate you having me.
And that's it. Cut.